माय नेम इज समर्पण वशिष्ठ। आप में से कितने लोग इस बार मेंस दे रहे हैं? एक और कोई नहीं। चलो, तो आज विल सी हाउ टू राइट एन एसे, हाउ टू स्ट्रक्चर इट, हाउ टू एंश्योर दैट देयर इज फ्लो इन द एसे, हाउ टू सेलेक्ट अ टॉपिक, एंड how to ensure that your essay does not seem as if it has gone away from the demand. If you have any doubts, you can ask. दूसरी बात, we will also see or we will also brainstorm on one of the topics from the PYQ to see what different types of introductions can be used in that, what different types of conclusions can be used in that, how to write a good conclusion, how to ensure that your essay does not look as if it is too generalistic, but it is also should not look as if it has become very academic or it has become very scientific. So, सबसे पहली बात, approach the text with an open mind. जो भी essay आ रहा है, you don't have to agree with it. जरूरी नहीं है, it's not necessary that whatever essay topics are given there or the essay topic you have chosen, you have to agree with it. For example, there was an essay last years, I believe, that ship in the harbor is safe. However, that is not what ships are for. Do you agree with it? Do you agree with it? You agree with it? Then ships should leave harbor, right? Meaning that you should take chances in your life. However, what if there is a storm in the sea? It must not leave the harbor. So in this case, you have to also give the opposing argument that it is not necessary that every single time you have a shape or you have an opportunity, you need to take risk. Sometimes it is better to stay put and don't do anything about situations, right? One example being, after 2008 Mumbai terrorist attack, there was a huge pressure on the government to act, right? We being better power than Pakistan could have easily done or undertaken a war against Pakistan, but we didn't. So some people argue that that was a wise decision, right? So in this vein, whatever essay topic is there or whatever essay topic you have selected, you need to ensure that is there any opposing argument to it also. So for example, last year there was a topic on FOMO, right? Social media is leading to the fear of missing out. The next, among the youth, is it only leading to FOMO among the youth? Right? We have seen our parents entire day watching the reels. It is also leading to the FOMO among older people. Is it only social media that is leading to FOMO? Or are there other factors too? In this way, approach an essay topic with an open mind. Don't be hell-bent on telling the examiner what you think or always agreeing with the topic, right? There might be multiple dimensions to it. Think about them. Think about what is not, how it is not. Is that clear to everyone? Now, the second thing is read actively and critically, right? So we have covered the critical aspect of the essay. What do I mean by read actively? Sometimes we misinterpret the topic, right? One mistake which I have seen generally in the copies is that sometimes we not only misread, we also misinterpret. है ना? जैसे वो there is a famous story that somebody misread tourism as terrorism, है ना? तो वो तो कंप्लीट ब्लेंडर है ही है, उसके साथ साथ किसी बात को गलत समझ लेना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन योर टेस्ट देयर वाज अ टॉपिक दैट ह्यूमन नीड्स टू बिहेव एज द नॉट एज द स्टूवर्ड्स बट एज द ट्रस्टीज ऑफ द एनवायरमेंट. नाउ as soon as you see the environment here, you start writing about what are the environmental issues, how to ensure or how to resolve them, how to solve them. But that's not the question. The question is about why we need to behave as trustees of the environment, not as stewards. Have you seen this as a topic? So what is the mistake here? As soon as you'll see the environment, you'll think the essay is about the challenges of environment or the problems we are facing regarding climate change or global warming. But that is not the essay. The essay is what is trusteeship? Why we need to act as trustees of the environment? What is stewardship? Are we behaving like stewards of the environment? And what are the challenges we will face when we'll act as trustees, right? It's not always possible in poorer countries that people are the trustees of the environment. So the essay is not about environment. Essays is about our responsibility towards the environment. Is that clear to everyone? Now, next topic is identify the conclusion first, then the premise. This might sound a bit odd. However, when you select an essay topic, you also should have a very good conclusion. Not only a very good conclusion, but also you need to ensure or you need to know where you are going to end, right? When we know how we are going to end something, we drive that particular essay in that particular direction. So, for example, if I am writing an essay on the social media and the FOMO and the problems among youth, I would instantly know that I would end this essay on the solution aspect. I would end this essay on a note which provides solutions for the FOMO, which provides the solutions for this feeling of being left out among the youth especially. So I know what is going to be my end goal or end para. Is that clear? So have that in mind that this is the direction I want to take my essay in. Decide your conclusion in the first instant or in the beginning itself. So for example, forest precedes civilizations and deserts follow them. When I'm writing this essay, the jungle सभ्यताओं से पहले आते हैं और रेगिस्तान उनके बाद आते हैं. I know that this essay requires a rhetorical conclusion. This requires some poetic conclusion whereby I'll be telling that how as human beings we tend to extract a lot of resources and that will lead to the destruction and end of humanity. And I'll write something like we need to move away from ethnocentric to ecocentric approach, or we are not the owners of the earth but caretakers for the future generations. So we need to ensure that whenever there is civilization or whenever we are growing and developing our economy, we do not leave behind a world where the future generations have nothing but deserts, right? So I know what is going to be my end para or what is going to be my conclusion in the beginning itself. Is that clear? Now, any doubts till now? ठीक है. उसके बाद complexity is not profundity. What does it mean? It means that in your dreams and hopes of becoming Shashi Tharoor, you ruin everything, right? The simplicity, ये ऐसे भी आया by the way, simplicity is the best form of sophistication. Keep your idea simple. There was a physicist, Richard Feynman. He had said once that I understand something, the judgment I judge this if I am able to explain that to an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old. If I am able to do that, it means that I have understood it. If I am able to make it that simple, it means that I have understood it and I have conveyed it well. So in writing flamboyant English, in writing complex idea, do not leave behind what was asked. Nobody is expecting you to be Shashi Tharoor, neither can you be. ठीक है, ना तो हो सकते हो, ना डिमांड है एग्जाम की. ठीक है, keep it simple, keep it normal, ordinary. This example would help you. Expectoration is forbidden. If you see this written on metro, if you see this written on railway station, what would you understand by this statement? I have already told you, don't ruin the... So basically, expectoration means spitting. Spitting is forbidden, right? And on many platforms in UK and in Europe and in America, this used to be written, expectoration is forbidden. बट वहां कोई रुक नहीं रहा था, है ना. टेक्सास में लोग तंबाकू खा के सब दे वर स्पिटिंग ऑन द ट्रैक्स, बिकॉज लोगों को पता ही नहीं था कि करना क्या है. ठीक है. सो nobody is expecting you, nobody is expecting from you that you have a vocabulary which is unnecessarily complicated, which is unnecessarily complex, and which is unnecessarily ruining the meaning of what you are trying to convey. So all of us have good enough vocabulary, है ना. We know ordinary uses words, and since we are living in the times of reels and shorts, human brains have shrinked. They don't understand complex ideas. They don't understand heavy words. That is why Donald Trump is the president. Have you seen that reel, Barack Obama telling about the death of Osama bin Laden, and Donald Trump talking about Baghdadi, right? So when you listen to Obama, last night our forces in an operation has eliminated the dreaded terrorist Osama bin Laden, and Donald Trump simply says Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He died like a dog, right? So the point is, keep it simple. This is what simplicity is what people understand. Simplicity is what is expected, and simplicity allows you to maintain a structure, a flow, and organic form of an essay, right? So many of you would be tempted to write something which is not making any sense just because you wanted to make it look more sophisticated. It is not sophistication. It is idiotic to do it. Is that clear? Now, outline, paraphrase, and summarize your arguments in the beginning itself, which we talked in the first instance. Am I going to agree with the premise of the essay? Am I going to disagree with it? And what are going to be my key arguments? What are going to be my key dimensions? Everything we'll study in detail when we'll see the body part, but this needs to be ensured that you have an outline of your essay. Because if you'll not have a skeleton, if you'll not have an outline, I guarantee you that you will not be able to maintain neither the coherence nor the flow. What do I mean by maintaining flow and coherence? This is a theme which runs throughout the essay. If we do not ensure that we are sticking to the demand of the question or demand of the essay, what we tend to do is that instead of writing around this theme, we write like this. ठीक है? Example, if I ask you, give me your introduction, and you start something like, my name is XYZ, I come from XYZ village, I come from a family where agriculture is the main profession. We grow sugarcane. Sugarcane is a very good crop. Although all crops are good, however, sugarcane is more beneficial to farmers. Farmers face a lot of challenges. That is why the government gives them subsidy. Subsidies also comes them with a lot of problem. This is not your introduction. You started with your introduction, then you started talking about farmers and sugarcane and subsidies and whatnot. What is demanded? What is your introduction? So my name is this, I come from XYZ village, my family has a business, we have a business of clothing, or I come from an agriculture background. Like all the other families or like all the other farmers in India, we also face the problems related to agriculture. This is your introduction. This is not going into the domain of the problems of agriculture and subsidies and whatnot. Is that clear? So this is the theme. This is the key idea, and your essay needs to be here. किसी बारे में पकड़ा and उसके बारे में बताना शुरू कर दिया, that can't be allowed in an essay where the demand is coherence, where the demand is to maintain a general flow, which is giving the key theme and key idea in every sentence and in every para. Is that clear? Now, when we are talking about, let's say, again, coming back to our example, let's say when we are talking about this theme, the doubter is a true man of science. You are talking about why it is important to question, and then you come to the problems of education. See, our education system is so bad that it does not allow questioning. Till here it is fine. But when you go beyond this and start telling what are the other challenges in education and why education needs to be improved, now you have run away from the core demand and key theme of the essay. Is that clear? Is that understood? So ensure that you always remember what is the theme, because once you miss the theme, it becomes very hard to come back to it. Okay? Is that clear? Now, let's move on to what is an essay. What is an essay? Huh? Writing something. How it is different from an academic research paper, how it is different from general studies answer, how it is different from optional answer. Yeah. Your viewpoint and?
Essay is different from a GS paper because firstly it will give you an opportunity to give your viewpoints and give you to explore the topic through your point of view rather than the scholarly point of view.
So basically, in all three sentences, you said your point of view needs to be given. Perfect. Anybody else?
It also gives you a chance of the readers to understand your thought process and where your thinking lies, basically.
Okay.
Rather than a GS answer.
Good enough. Good enough. Anybody else from that side of the room? Personal thinking process. Thinking process तो personally होती है. Person's thinking process. Good enough. Anybody else? Yeah. Structured flow of ideas. Okay. Don't we do that in GS answers? Don't we do that in optional answers? AC. Okay. ठीक है. So point of view, your person, yeah. Your opinion and all those, that is already covered. Something new. Answer is also multidimensional. It is also supposed to be multidimensional. वो अलग बात है कि आप लोग कर नहीं पाते. Basically, whatever ma'am said and sir said, essay gives whatever is written or said about a particular topic, your point of view, in a form which covers almost all the dimensions, right? There are different kinds of essays. There are discursive essays, there are academic essays, there are scientific essays. Each essay depends on what is the demand of the question. So when we say discursive essays, they are in the form of question and answer, positive sides and negative sides. So for example, benefits of doing exercise. But there are a lot of people to whom exercise is not allowed because of the physical conditions or some other health conditions, right? So they are discursive essays. Academic essays are those essays whereby you give literary point of view. You give, you quote sources, you give many references, you give many citations, and you present all side of argument. So use of lithium in batteries. This would include a lot of references, a lot of citations, a lot of research papers, right? Now, essay is a short composition. It does not claim scholarly thoroughness. Nobody is expecting you to quote Plato and Socrates and Aristotle. If you quote them, you are quoting them to justify your argument. It should be, you should take the ownership of your own essay. Plato is not responsible for your essay. Aristotle is not. Machiavelli is not. They can come there to justify or to substantiate your point of view. So, for example, when you're talking about true knowledge, what is true knowledge? And you are saying that true knowledge is not the knowledge of the material world, but the knowledge of ideal world. Here you can say that Plato 2000 years back in his book Republic has held this, but stop there. Continue your point of view. right? You are not to delve into the scholarly argument of Plato. Make sense? Now, a monograph is different from essay in this particular sense. Monograph or academic papers, all those things, they require scholarly thoroughness. They require you to quote multiple scholars because you don't have anything original. But essay is your personality. It is your persona that is that examiner wants to check. How well you can think, how much have you read, and how many dimensions you can open. The scope in GS answers and in optional answers is limited in that aspect, because there in optional answers, when we talk about, we are giving the perspectives of different people, what we have read in books. We cannot say there that I don't like Plato. Somebody else does not like Plato. Karl Popper does not like Plato. You have to write Karl Popper does not like Plato. You cannot say that Plato was wrong for his times and for all other times. Who is to say that? Somebody else. You are just utilizing their thoughts and telling the examiner, look, I have read about Plato. In essay, it is your point of view, it is your argument, it is your personality, and it is your ownership of the essay. Is that clear? Make sense? So, essays are different from monographs, they are different from academic papers, they are different from GS answers, they are different from optional answers. Now, it does exhibit great variety. What are different dimensions? What are different, what different things has been said in different space and different times about that particular theme, right? Wisdom finds truth. This was an essay asked in 2019, I think. What is wisdom? What is truth? Are there truths? Is what kind of wisdom is needed to find those kind of truths? All these things should reflect what you have read, rather than writing Plato has said that wisdom is this, Socrates has said that wisdom is this, and Gandhi has said that truth is this, some Leo Tolstoy has said that truth is this. No. You tell the examiner that, look, there are multiple point of views regarding truths. Some people consider truth to be godly. For example, Gandhi in his book Swaraj has written this about truth. Make sense? Now, you are telling the examiner, here is my point of view supported by scholarly arguments, rather than giving the scholarly argument for their sake. Scholarly argument are the mean to arrive at a particular dimension, not the end in themselves. Whereas in academic essays, in monographs, in optional answers, they are the end in themselves. When you criticize Plato or when you criticize J.S. Mill for being a reluctant Democrat, there you are just leaving it there. Look, J.S. Mill has been criticized as reluctant Democrat. However, still he has said a great deal on the liberty. And if somebody can be called liberal, it is Mill. We write like that. There, the argument itself was an end. The criticism was itself an end. You were not to explore that particular dimension. But if you are giving an argument in an essay, explore that dimension. Don't leave it just there, because that is the means to build your argument, not the end in itself. ठीक है? ऑप्शनल के आंसर्स में जब हम कोई क्रिटिसिज्म लिखते हैं या कोई स्कॉलरली पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू लिखते हैं, तो एग्जामिनर को बताना या the goal of that argument or the goal of writing that argument is to tell examiner, I have read or some particular scholar has said this thing also about that particular topic or particular scholar, और वहीं पे छोड़ देते हैं. यहाँ पे वो नहीं करना है. So this is also how this essay paper differs from your other papers. Here you have all the liberty, you have all the tabula rasa to paint all the pictures you want to paint, as long as they are coherent, they are in a particular flow, they are according to the demand of the question, and they are not missing the theme. Is that clear? Now, narrative essays and descriptive essays should not be written. What do I mean by that? Narrative essays tells the story, the story of somebody's experiences. Gandhi's essays on experiment on truths are, or his experiment with celibacy, or his experiment with modern medicine, are in narration form. that is not to be written in essay paper. Okay. Now, the second one is descriptive essay. They focus on painting one picture and focus on one point of view. So, for example, why Machiavelli is a realist? You have to justify in the entire description where Machiavelli has talked about realism. But that is not the case in the essay which are expected in this particular paper. You are to write all the dimensions, multiple dimensions. You are to explore everything that is there vis-a-vis that topic. So this is to be avoided, narration and description. Now, expository essay, they have a lot of facts, they'll have a lot of evidence to support the argument. However, the essay which we write includes both discursive and expository essays. Discursive essays means you explore different dimensions, yes, no, right, wrong, correct, incorrect, and you support those arguments with data, with facts, with stats. Climate change is one such topic which has been repeated. So when you are writing about climate change, and if you simply say climate change is caused by carbon emission, okay, but carbon emission, how much carbon emission is allowed? So then you write that the carbon budget for the earth is X trillion carbons. However, we have already released Y trillion of carbons. So you are substantiating your first argument with data. So the essay needs to be discursive, it needs to be expository, it neither needs to be narrative nor descriptive, and it is mix of discursive and expository essay. Is that clear? कोई confusion किसी को? हाँ. Narrative essay is narration of somebody's life experiences. So for example, Rahul Sankrityan writing about his travels throughout the Europe. He is telling what he saw in Europe, what happened in Europe. It is his narration of events. You are not to do that. You are not writing the essay in the first person, right? I think I missed that point also. हाँ, ये भी जरूरी है. I, me and my are to be avoided. I think, according to me, in my point of view, nobody is interested in your point of view directly. The essay need not to be written in first person. Why it is not to be written? Honestly speaking, you are nobody. जब IAS बन जाओगे तब लिखना अखबारों में columns and essays. I think then your speeches, your writings will be taken seriously, because then an IAS will be writing those. Right now, an unemployed youth is writing an essay and giving his point of view. Nobody is interested. So don't write I think that. And this is the case for general studies as well as optional also. When UPSC says, do you think that this is the case? They are not interested in your point of view. They are just interested only in how much have you read about that particular topic.
सर बट यू टोल्ड दैट सर कि हम लोग को अपना एक्सपीरियंस लिखना है सर. तो सर अगर
मैंने नहीं बोला एक्सपीरियंस लिखना है, नहीं लिखना है, कटा हुआ है. नरेशन टेल ए स्टोरी, क्रोज्ड है. Don't tell your story. Don't tell your experiences.
नहीं बट सर we should write in our point of view, express our
In
argument.
somebody else's language. When you say, I saw in Europe the transport system was working very well, right? When let's say you are writing about urbanization, it's not the right form to write. It's not the correct form to write. What is the correct form? In Europe, the transport system is much better compared to India. Is that clear? So right now you are not giving your narration of the events. You are writing from a generalistic point of view. That is to be done. Again, I, me, my, avoid them. Okay? First person essay should not be written. No matter how much tempted you are, no matter how much you have read about that topic, I, me and my are not to be written. There are some people who must have worked in some industry. They have seen that from up close. So for example, there was an essay on AI, right? They'll be tempted to write, and there might be some computer science engineer who have worked on AI. So that person will be tempted to write that, in my opinion, AI is going to do this, that. Don't. So when you're writing that there is a bias issue in AI, use Prime Minister Modi. That Prime Minister Modi in the 4th AI summit has held that there is a bias issue in the AI, and then built on that, what is bias, how it is, how it comes into AI, how it can be avoided. Don't try it. When I was working in Microsoft, I saw the bias in AI, right? Is that clear? इसका temperature कम कर दो, कम temperature कम, हाँ. Give me an example. Give me an example. What is that? What have you experienced?
If we write, can we use any character name like Ram, Sam?
We'll come to that. You are talking about basically introduction. We'll come to that. What kind of introductions can be there? Yes.
The life of that person might not change due to my effort, by economic or any effort, then it can be a reason.
Don't. A lot of other people have done better works than you. Use them.
Yes, sir.
You have helped somebody in what? Let's say you gave somebody $1,000 or $2,000, or you helped your friend get out of a bad breakup. Don't write that.
No, that's not.
What else have you done? You are not a celebrity. You are not a person who is known around the intellectual circles. So I understand your temptation that I have done some good work. Why should not I write it? You should not write it to get selected.
So if I had participated in public affair in many
I
areas,
gave you the example. Somebody working in Microsoft on AI should not write in my experience. Right? Is that clear? Right? Sam Altman has said this about AI, or Satya Nadella has said this about AI, or Gandhi helped somebody. Gandhi helped somebody Gandhi helped somebody in something, or Nehru did something, or PM Modi is doing something. Again, on the verge of sounding rude and impolite, you are nobody. Let's be very clear about it. Your experiences does not matter till the time you don't have a post or position or a lot of money. Yeah.
So does this apply to GS4 answers as
yes.
well?
Yes.
If the question
It does.
if the question particularly asks about
If they are
extrapolate with the
asking,
personal-
let's say, let me give you some example. For example, if the question is, give two people from the history who teaches you courage, right? So don't write in the first form. Again, simply write Bhagat Singh and let's say Chandrasekhar Azad are source of motivation for a lot of people, something like that. Or is it asking that, if it's particularly asking that regarding a particular value, showcase how you have shown honesty, there you can write that I got somebody's wallet in the bus and it had 50,000 rupees and I returned that, which is again very generic story everybody writes. Is that clear? Yeah, you were saying something. Descriptive essays talks only about one particular dimension. They talk about one set of argument mostly. So for example, why Machiavelli is a realist? You are not to explore multiple dimensions here, and that is to be avoided. जो नहीं करना उसके बारे में क्यों पूछ रहे हो? जो करना है उसके बारे में पूछो. हाँ. Nobody is interested in your opinion. Do you think Plato's idea of form is relevant for, let's say, 21st century? Yeah. X has said this, Y has said this, Z has said this, A has said this, B has said this, C has said this. However, considering all the argument, Plato's theory of ideas can be utilized to ensure that we are not too much obsessed with the material achievements, rather than we should also focus on knowledge. Again, we, not I. Yeah. We'll come to that. धीरे धीरे है ना. अभी क्लियर है यहाँ तक सबका? ठीक है, मूव ऑन करें. हाउ टू सेलेक्ट अ टॉपिक. नाउ it ought to interest you and interest other as well. In this example, this is the paper from the last year. We had section A and section B. Forest precedes civilizations and deserts follow them. The empires of the future will be the empires of the mind. There is no path to happiness, and happiness is the path. The doubter is a true man of science. Most people would avoid the fourth topic. The doubter is a true man of science, right? Because we lack information, anecdotes, stories, poems, and quotes on this issue. However, when you talk about forest precedes civilizations and deserts follow them, you know something about environment. It's an interesting topic. Or the empires of the future will be in the empires of the mind. You know a little bit about education, so you can explore that dimension. The doubter is a true man of science. I'll avoid that personally, because it will be very difficult for me to explore various dimensions on it, and it is not very interesting. It will become in the end it will become very monolithic. In the end it will become very trite, or you'll be given very commonplace examples which are not to be given. Okay? So I'll avoid this. This does not interest me, neither it will interest much examiner. We don't have to consider the examiner a fool, although consider what interests a common person. What would you like to read? What topic would interest you as a reader? Select that topic. That is the first criteria. So when you pick something up which interests you and interests others, then you are able to build your argument better, right? So that is the first criteria. Second, be within the range of your experience and skill. Now, there was an essay in 2021, real is rational, rational is real. You guys read that in your optional. That is a very interesting topic. That is a very, it has a lot of dimensions. But am I ready to write 1,000 words on that topic? That needs to be my concern. Do I know everything what has been said regarding that particular topic? Can I explore multiple dimensions regarding it? These all these things will be my considerations before I select a topic, and ensure that it should not neither be too vast or too trivial or too narrow, right? You must have enough knowledge to explore multiple dimensions, and it should not open a lot of Pandora's box, which is hard to close in the end. So these things, interest, knowledge, and the interest of the readers, as well as your interest in that particular subject, your knowledge, your scope of understanding, all these things should be there. So let's say when we talk about second section B, social media is triggering the fear of missing out amongst the youth, precipitating depression and loneliness. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but to test the character, give him power. All ideas having large consequences are simple. The cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. How many of you will select first topic? Social media is triggering the 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody else? 5, 6, 7. Okay. Adversity and character and power essay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. Perfect. बाकी लोग नहीं लिख के आएंगे, ऐसे छोड़ाएंगे ऐसा लग रहा है ना, जो सेलेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं. Okay. All ideas are having large consequences are always simple. Only one essay is allowed. You can't raise your hands in 2 essays. One essay from one section. Yes. Yes. Good. And the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. Perfect. How many of you feel that the first essay would require you a lot of data, a lot of stats, a lot of studies to substantiate your argument? And how many of you raised the hand in the first essay? This is a hard essay to write, not because the topic is hard, but because you would require a lot of data, a lot of stats to justify your point of views. How many people died playing Blue Whale? Blue Whale चला ना गेम, वो नशे काट रहे थे बच्चे अपनी. और अभी वो मोमो कुछ चला था 18 में, मोमो चैलेंज समथिंग, है ना? So it would require a lot of data, and if you have that data, you would be able to write a very very good essay. ठीक है? अभी एक सीरीज आई है, किसी ने देखी तुम इसे, एडोलेसेंस on Netflix? Adolescence. So basically that's a story about a I think 13-year-old kid. Spoilers alert. who is framed in a murder of his classmate, and he is very much influenced by the blue pill and the red pill and the manosphere and rotate. ठीक है? So if you have that kind of references and if you have data, go for the first essay. Otherwise, skip that. Go for the generic essays, because you will not have to have multiple data sets, multiple substantiation points or reports or other things which you don't have. So the ideas having large consequences are always simple. Newton, apple falling on the tree, right? You don't have to give data about with what speed did apple fell down on his head. Okay? So something which might seem easy in the first instance might not be easy. Again, the example being real is rational, rational is real. You all have a lot of content on that, and you have read that in your optional. However, would it be advisable to write 1000 to 1200 words on that? No. Okay? Now, from the first in the first section, there is no part to happiness. Happiness is the path. The doubter is a true man of science. The empires of the future will be the empires of the world, and the forest precedes civilizations and deserts follow them. The first essay looks easy, but it is not. Why it is not? Because two things will happen. Either you'll be traveling into the environmental direction, which might not be correct, because that is only one dimension. It requires opening up multiple dimensions. So this is looking very basic. This is looking very easy. That forest, civilization, deserts, meaning climate change, global warming, सब लिख देंगे. But वही होगा. मैं XYZ विलेज से आया हूँ, गन्ने की खेती और उससे सब्सिडी, और निकलते निकलते पहुंच जाओगे एनवायरमेंट और क्लाइमेट चेंज और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग में, you'll forget what is the theme of the essay. This will also require data. How much desertification has happened? What governments are doing to avoid that the lands do not become barren, the soils do not leach into the water, and what further needs to be done? What are the scientific steps we need to take? What are the political steps we need to take? Or what steps are being taken? It will require a lot of information. So it will be much easier to write on 2, 3 or 4 rather than the first one. So जो होता है वो दिखता नहीं है, जो दिखता है वो अक्सर होता नहीं है. Philosophical essays you guys believe are hard to write, but they are the easiest, because you can do a lot of ball bachchan and nobody would bat an eye. But if you do that kind of thing in an essay which is very specific and requires substantiation, you will not get good marks. So ideally philosophical essays are easier to write because सवाल पूछते हैं what, why, how, when, where, और essay अपने आप लिखा जाएगा. देखेंगे. Anyways, ठीक है. Is that clear how to select a topic? Any doubts? किसी का कोई डाउट नहीं है? चलो. हाँ. What if, जैसे give me an example. तुमने PYQ देखे हैं?
हाँ देखे.
तो फिर एग्जाम्पल दो.
एग्जाम्पल अभी याद नहीं है.
हाँ, तो फिर ऐसे कैसे होगा? यूपीएससी का जो एग्जामिनर पेपर सेट कर रहा है वो थोड़ा सा पढ़ा लिखा तो है, वो ऐसा काम नहीं करेगा.
सेम नहीं बोल रहा हूँ सर.
हाँ.
जैसे मतलब दोनों में लगभग सेम पॉइंट हो. 10 पॉइंट इसमें भी हो, 10 पॉइंट इसमें भी हो, 10 डायमेंशन इसमें भी एक्सप्लोर कर सकता हूँ, उसमें भी कर सकता हूँ.
हाँ.
तब किसको चुन?
अच्छा, what if you have to make a selection out of two equally bad essays on which you don't have proper content? Select the third or the fourth one. ठीक है. Having said that, jokes apart, ऐसा नहीं होता है. ऐसा इसलिए नहीं होता है. अभी we'll see in the next section. In the philosophical essay, you don't have to do much. Or in other essays, you don't have to do much. There are some dimensions, some specific dimensions. If you keep on just answering them, you'll be able to write an essay which is in flow and coherence. You'll not have to much worry about finding out कि कंटेंट खत्म हो गया अब क्या लिखूं. We'll see that when we'll discuss how to write body and how to ensure that you have enough content. ठीक है?
Excuse me, sir.
Now,
Sir,
Yeah.
I have a doubt.
हाँ,
Sir, in both the first questions of both the sections that you talked about, we have to give data and all. Can't we go into the broader theme? For example, forest, civilization, desert, and all. Can't we go into the broader theme of materialistic wealth and inner happiness and all that? Then we have a lot of information about that. So can't we go there?
you can go there.
Yes.
However, the point is, an essay which is talking about real topics, real life things, AI education, women, health, education. If you are lacking points or data or stats to substantiate your points, it will not give much impact. An example, according to ESPA, just listen to this statement very carefully. According to ESPA, we have already breached the carbon limit which we can before a catastrophic event happens. And if you write something like this, or if you write, according to ESPA, we have already released X trillions of carbons into the environment, whereas the limit is Y trillion, which is sounding much better. Second one, है ना? So that is the difference. Of course, you can go into the dimensions which are generalistic and which which are not substantiated by facts. But the point is, are they making the same impact? Is that making
Yes,
sense?
sir.
है ना?
Thank you.
One more example. What if I tell you that your answer must, in optional, your answer must have an intro, a body, and a conclusion, right? And on the other hand, I say, Shubhra ma'am has said that your answer must have intro, body, and conclusion. Now, the second point has more weight. It is more profound, right? So that is why it is best to avoid topics where you don't have data if they are related to real life things. Again, education, health. When you are writing or water issues or environmental issues, let's say you are writing about that India is suffering with water stress. But if you don't define what is water stress, how many liters of water per capita is needed or a country need to be reduced to before it can be put in the category of water stress or scarcity, then it's not a good essay, it's not a good point. So that is the argument whereby you need substantiation, whereby you need exemplification, whereby you need to put your point across supported by facts. That is not the case. Happiness is the path. How many kgs of happiness is needed? वो नहीं चाहिए उसमें. ठीक है? किसी और का कोई डाउट? चल. ठीक है. Now, planning your essay. The planning commission has been abolished, but not for the essays. ठीक है? क्यों जरूरी है planning? अगर if you will not plan your essay, you would not be able to go beyond 2 pages and miss the demand. You would forget a lot of points which you needed to incorporate. You'll forget a lot of dimensions which you needed to incorporate, a lot of quotes which you wanted to incorporate and you have not incorporated. That is the first. That is the first thing, or that is the first goal of planning an essay. The second is focus on the task you are assigned and note what would you like the essay to be, which we talked in the beginning itself also. That it might be very tempting to write about the macro theme of an essay, right? Education is not what we learn in schools. Education is what we learn in life. So it will be very tempting to talk about the problems of school education, but that's not the essay. The essay is about what, why, how, where you learn things in your life which are more important than what you learn in schools, that is your physics, chemistry, maths and biology. So plan your essay. Ensure that you understand the demand. Write synonyms of the keywords of the essay. Highlight the keywords, right? And write on the last page or the rough sheet, what are the different dimensions, what are different views you would want to incorporate in your essay. And Don't misread the assignment. Don't misread the demand. Don't misread the context of the essay. You need to ensure that you write only what is relevant. You write only what is being asked, and you write only what is the core implicit theme of the essay, right? So we have explicit and implicit themes in a question. For example, if somebody is asking you, discuss the challenges of poverty in India. So it is implicit that you must tell what are the solutions of the poverty, not only the challenges related to poverty. So address not only explicit demand but also implicit demand. So if we go back to our essay, कौन सा था? Forests precede civilizations and deserts follow them. The question is not about only desertification. The question is also about our greed. The question is also about our own avarice. The question is also about exploitation of the natural resources. The question is also about consumption patterns of the humans. The question is also about how if we destroy nature, nature destroys us by ensuring that civilizations get wiped out. So the question is not about only forest. Explain. Due to urbanization and form of government is a very vague point. The question is not about how politicians has led to desertification. You can write the patterns of urbanizations almost invariably leads to overconsumption. So for example, if you take the example of Africa and USA. In USA, a normal human being consumes, I believe, more than 100 times resources than a person in Africa. But the person in Africa is blamed for climate change. Getting the point? So you can, of course, you can include those.
Urbanization led to criminalization of politics.
Urbanization led to
criminalization
of politics. This is the classic example of veering away from the demand. है ना? एक example मिल गया हमको. अब क्या करोगे? 43% people are in the Indian Parliament are convicted of heinous accused of heinous crimes. You'll start writing that. Yeah, you're saying that. No?
Isolation of people.
Isolation of people. Hannah Arendt.
Due to capitalism.
Yes, capitalism will come. Yes, that will come. The civilizations basically means that you increase your consumption, you become urbanized, and you forget that ultimately the resources are limited. And if you keep on exploiting them because of your
psychological
lifestyle,
problems,
because of your FOMO, because of your psychology, ultimately that will lead to land being barren, the resources getting depleted, and you dying of hunger and pandemics and epidemics. Yes, you can write that, but not the criminalization of politics. ठीक है? Clear है? ठीक है भाई? Okay. So planning your essay. You might write a very brilliant essay, but if it is not meeting the demand, you will not get good marks. I have seen a lot of student coming to me with their copies कि देखो कितना अच्छा poems लिखी थी, stories लिखी थी. I had written such good stories, narrations and quotes and examples. Still, I didn't get good marks. You wrote everything which was phenomenal, but was it asked, or you were just writing just because you knew them? That has to be your consideration. So that is why also the planning is important, because sometimes when we plan our essays, we come to know that while planning the essay, this thing might not be relevant. Let's skip it. This is not a very profound idea. This is not a very good idea. ठीक है? Now, how do you plan? You brainstorm. So basically the allocation of time is like this: 5 minutes in selecting the essay topic, 5 minutes each in each section, 15 minutes to 20 minutes in each section to brainstorm and rest of the time to write. Okay. There is one other aspect as to why brainstorming is necessary, why the planning is necessary. You know that you are to write in 1000 words. It should not be the case that till 800 words or 900th word, you are just writing about the problems and not talking about other dimensions. Or you are writing your introduction for 2 pages. You started writing a story of Gandhi and that went on till 2 pages. By the time the examiner is exhausted, whether you are writing a biography of Gandhi or the topic at hand, right? That should not be the case. That is why also the planning is necessary. कि भाई मैं कितने space, किस dimensions को दूंगा. When we talked about the discursive essays, 50% of the space in the body I'll give to this particular dimension and 50% I'll give to this dimension. And considering that fact, I'll allocate my pages or space or time. ना ऐसा ना हो कि पूछा गया हो कुछ और आप बताते रहें कुछ और 7वें पेज तक और फिर याद आए कि अरे वो भी तो लिखना था, फिर आप अचानक से स्विच कर दें पुराने वाले टॉपिक पर. एन एग्जामिनर गेट्स कंफ्यूज्ड एंड ही कॉल्स यू अप कि भाई आके समझा दो इसको, है ना. ऐसा केस ना बने. That is why the planning is important. So write down ideas on paper. Don't think about what is wrong, what is right. Just write. जो भी topic at hand है, just keep on write down different ideas. Jot down anything which comes to your mind. Don't worry about whether it is whether I'll be able to write it or not, whether I'll be able to explore this dimension or not. Just write. Here nothing is right, nothing is wrong. You are just exploring the dimensions so that you don't miss anything important. We can select later what is to be written, what is not to be written. So on the last sheet of paper where you are doing rough work, we have three pages to do rough work in essay copies. There you can jot down everything. What, how, when, why, what caused it, what are the reasons, why is it happening, how can the subject be defined, what are different synonyms which I can use for this particular value, what limits should be set to it, and are there exceptions and qualifications as to what I am writing? What examples are there? Can the subject be analyzed into different parts, different aspects? And what is the subject similar to? What is it different from? How it advantages, how it has advantages or virtues, how it has disadvantages or defects? What have other people said about it? All these dimensions, these are just indicative dimensions. इसको डलवा देंगे टेलीग्राम पर या चैनल में. तो instead of writing, you can just listen and be part of this class. Make sense? ये दे देंगे, ऐसा कुछ इसमें खास नहीं लिखा है ना. So all these dimensions, indicative dimensions, you need to write. So coming back to our any topic you want to choose, all ideas having large consequences are always simple. What are simple ideas? In recent time, where I've seen a simple idea getting materialized into or having the large consequences. Has it happened in the history? Has it happened somewhere near me? Has it happened in India? Is there any is there anything in science, in politics, in economy, in technology? How will I end it? Are there any good quotes I have? Are they really that simple every time? Are they really are there the consequences of simple ideas always there? Is this the case all the time? Are there any exceptions to it? Are there any stories which I know? Right? When you start thinking like that, you come across a lot of examples, a lot of stories, a lot of dimensions which you'll be writing. So for example, if I'm writing this answer and all ideas having large consequences are simple, I would be starting with a scientific discovery. I'll write something like the structure of benzene. It came to somebody, 2 snakes, in the coil. Scientists saw that in his dream, and that led to the discovery of the benzene structure, right? Or it can be as simple as that. In Game of Thrones, last episode, the guy, the person says that we should let people elect kings instead of some elite sections of the elite section of the society select the kings or rulers. It can be as simple as that, giving reservation to women in political in local areas for their empowerment. It can be apple falling from tree on the head of Newton. It can be Mars orbital mission, whereby they used the Gulil trajectory kind of thing. वो ऐसे घुमा घुमा के शॉर्ट पुट वाले से फेंका था ना वहां पे मार्स पर. डू यू नो अबाउट इट? हाँ. सो जो प्रोजेक्टाइल था, दैट वाज इंस्पायर्ड बाय द ऐसे, है ना, ऐसे, और फिर अचानक से the spacecraft will be on Mars. It is as simple as that idea, but it propelled India into a limited set of countries who have a successful Mars mission. So it can be multiple ideas, right? And this will come only when you brainstorm, when you think from multiple dimensions. Give me an example. Simple ideas leading to large consequences. You, madam, think. I'll come back to you. Anybody from this side? आप सोचते रहिए. हाँ हाँ. Yes. The simplest idea shook the mightiest empire the world has ever seen, on which the sun never set. Yes. Anything, madam? कुछ सोचा आपने? नहीं. From this side, yeah. मजेदार नहीं है. Yeah, absolutely. Good. That there should be a number which should make it 10 times bigger if it is added to that particular number. Good. Is that a simple idea? That is a simple idea. That is such a complicated idea. Nobody is able to define what is social justice and what it is not.
Sir, how we see pigeon and the idea of making aeroplane
How?
came. Sir, कबूतर को देख के सर aeroplane
हाँ,
बनाने
the
को.
shape of the aeroplanes were, or better than that, the what were the name of those brothers?
Wright brothers.
Wright brothers. They saw one day an envelope getting steam inside it and just going up, and that inspired the creation of aeroplanes.
सर एक और क्वेश्चन था सर, जैसे अगर क्वेश्चन है डेमोक्रेसी इज द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, तो सर देन वी कैन से दैट व्हाट इज डेमोक्रेसी एंड व्हाई डेमोक्रेसी इज बेस्ट, व्हाई कैन नॉट मोनार्की. तो सर ये सही रहेगा कि थोड़ा सा डेविएट हो जा रहे हैं सर?
It has instrumental value, substantive value, educative value, right? Explore all the dimensions. Why not? Yes.
तो सर मोनार्की और ये डिक्टेटर्स को भी सर एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल करोगे. और कैसे लिखोगे? If something is best, it needs to be compared vis-a-vis other forms. Any other from this side? किसी के पास कोई simple idea नहीं है? Yeah. You were saying something, हाँ? The newspaper column blank. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yes. Yeah, it is such a simple idea that you don't write anything in the editorial column to protest against the censorship, or instead of writing what you were being told to write, you just left it blank. हम कुछ लिख ही नहीं रहे. That was exceptionally brilliant. Yes.
Sir, the rubbing of two stones that made man to create fire, invent fire.
Yeah, the human civilization was changed the day fire was invented, or the rolling wheel, and wheel got invented. Money, we use money. It seems such a normal thing now, but if you imagine, it's nothing. It's just a piece of paper, right? The LLCs, limited liability companies, they have rights as if that is normal, but that has led to entire corporate structure get built. You buy shares and they don't exist anywhere, right? So all these things have led to profound consequences. All these examples you can use in your answer, right? Similarly, let's see another topic, one more topic. the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. The cost of being wrong is less than cost of doing nothing. Yeah. 100 times. Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. Covered. Absolutely. Scientific innovations, other than scientific innovations. Yes, if they would not have tried, at least, then we would not have gone to moon. Anything else? Nothing. Yeah, they knew that they could lose, but still they could not sit idle. They had to do something about it. Yeah. Absolutely. 1991 reforms, you can mention that if we would have set ideal just because we lacked majority in the government, it was not a full majority government, or if we would have just been worried that we have a socialist pattern of economy, we would have been another failed nation, right? So this is how you need to brainstorm. Think कि कहाँ देखा है मैंने, कहाँ सुना है. See, if you have cleared the prelims, it means you are a well-read person, जिसने अच्छा खासा अखबार पढ़ा है, किताबें पढ़ी हैं, एनसीईआरटी पढ़ी हैं, स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स पढ़ी हैं, and 21 is the minimum age to give UPSC. You also have a life experience. Utilize all that to write a good essay. Essay is not just a write-up. It's your personality. You own it, right? So think beyond the narrowness of the topic and think in all the dimensions there exist. Have I seen it somewhere? Where I have read about it? What can be written in this? What cannot be written in it? Right? So all these questions, all these indicative questions, what, how, when, why, what caused it, what are the reasons, what are the advantages, disadvantages, is it true, is it correct, or why it is not correct? All these things needs to be explored. And once you have written all these ideas, now it's time to arrange these ideas in the plan itself. Right now we have not come to the fair sheet, है ना, वहां पे नहीं आए हैं अभी जहां पे लिखना है, अभी हम वहीं पे उनको अरेंज कर रहे हैं. अब we have made a plan, है ना. Any answer, any essay always has three things: intro, body, conclusion, the opening paragraph, the body, and the conclusion. The opening paragraph needs to be definitive. It need not be too verbose. It need not be giving the expression or the impression of being too much beating around the bush or chicanery or circumlocution. It should be to the point. It should explain to the examiner that you have understood the idea, as well as it needs to be profound, interesting, and arising curiosity. Because democracy is the best form of government, as you give the example. If you're starting with Abraham Lincoln has held that, or Churchill has held that the democracy is the worst form of government till the time we are able to find a better form of government. If you're starting with this line, you have lost my interest. Because it is not something which will be able to keep me interested in that idea. So have a hook, है ना. रील्स देखते हो तुम लोग, है ना, तो रील का ना सबसे अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है to ensure that you watch it completely for 2 minutes. There is a hook in the beginning 2 seconds. अगर 2 सेकंड में hook नहीं है, you scroll past it. क्या आपको पता है, जब क्या आपको पता है वाली लाइन शुरू होती है, क्या आपको पता है कंगारू की जेब में समथिंग, तो लाइक अच्छा कुछ तो इंटरेस्टिंग है ना, देन यू वॉच इट, और इट इज फनी, है ना. शुरुआत में कुछ अच्छा जोक उसने क्रैक कर दिया रील में, तो उसके बाद यू कीप ऑन वॉचिंग इट, अदरवाइज यू स्क्रॉल पास्ट इट. That should not be the case in your essay, that examiner just scroll past it and give you average marks जो वो सबको दे रहा है, just because you were not able to keep him or her engaged in the beginning para. So introduction need to be interesting. Yeah. From? Yeah, I'll come to that. How to start it, I'll come to that. So the opening paragraph needs to be definitive, it needs to be interesting, it needs to be according to the demand of the question, it should not be far away from the demand. Now, next comes the body part. There needs to be considered development. The idea should not come abruptly. कल मैंने लाल शर्ट पहनी थी और मैं गोवा गया था. It's not making any sense. The लाल शर्ट and गोवा do not have any correlation. मैंने अपने एक दोस्त से शर्त लगाई थी that जिस दिन मैं लाल शर्ट पहनूंगा मैं गोवा घूम के आऊंगा. It is making sense. So it needs to be a considered development. It needs to be a proper development. The idea should not be abrupt. ऐसा ना हो कि पहले पैरा में आप बात कर रहे हो अफ्रीका में माल न्यूट्रिशन की और अगले पैरा में बात करने लग गए हो गोवा के सुंदर सुंदर बीचेस की. Would not make any sense. That is why it needs to be considered development. धीरे धीरे बिल्ड करना है ना. तो उसके मुंह पे फेंक के नहीं मार देने आइडियाज कि ले अपने आप समेट ले इनको, मैंने लिख दिया है और तुम करते हो. यू गाइस डू दैट. लिखा तो है ना. ये ऐसे बन जाता ना जैसे इफ आई आस्क यू कि भाई लेट्स हैव लंच, है ना, तो क्या खाना है, नॉर्थ इंडियन थाली खानी है. आई गिव दिस एग्जांपल मेनी टाइम्स. सो यू वुड नीड दाल, सब्जी, रायता, राइस, चपाती, सैलेड, पिकल, kheer or puri and everything separately. What if I grind everything together in a mixer and serve it to you? है ना? And then you tell me कि रोटी कहाँ है इसमें. तो नहीं अच्छा लगेगा ना. इसलिए needs to be considered and proper development of an idea. उसको उसके मुंह पे फेंक के नहीं मारना कि देख कैलोरी पूरी है, आइडिया पूरे हैं, अलग तू अपने आप कर ले, है ना. वो नहीं करना. Every subsequent idea need to have some correlation not only with the theme but the previous para also. Each subsequent idea should be in a flow, should be in a proper structure. It should not be as if कि ये क्या अचानक से बात होने लगी, है ना. जैसे just for one moment think about your thoughts. जब आप सोचते हो या think about your dreams, उसमें क्या अचानक से सब चीजें होती रहती हैं, है ना. So your thoughts are very abrupt. ऐसे का पेपर पढ़ना है, क्लास लेनी है, इंस्टाग्राम पे कितने फॉलोवर हैं मेरे. So the thoughts are not matching, and that is the difference between thinking and writing. Thinking is abrupt. It does not have any flow. You can think about anything you want to think. कभी सोचना. Any of you has gone to Vipassana? कोई विपासना में गए? Yeah. Which place? Dharamsala? Okay. So there is this exercise. They tell you just observe your thoughts. The thoughts come as if the madman is talking. वो कुछ भी बात करते हैं ना. रोटी में 4 चांद होते हैं, पहिए की मोटरसाइकिल, something random. Our thoughts are like that. This is the difference between writing and thinking. Writing is precise. Writing is coherent. Writing should not be blabbering. Writing should be profound in the sense that everything is related to each other. है ना? It's like a माला, हार, है ना. हर फूल एक दूसरे से जुड़ा हुआ है एक रस्सी से. अलग अलग वो सब फूल हैं, बट जब एक साथ आ गए तो माला हो गया. That is writing. It has a sequence. It has proper structure. So this is why your body needs to be developed slowly and gradually. उसमें सब कुछ एक साथ नहीं डाल देना, सब कुछ एकदम से नहीं दे देना. Spike the interest of the examiner. उसको लगे कि उसको पता हो कि what you are going to talk about in the next para or why this para is at this particular place. We'll see the example also. Now comes the conclusion. The conclusion needs to be emphatic. How many have you gone to a concert, musical concert? Okay. किसकी? लॉट ऑफ आर्टिस्ट. एक का नाम बताओ. अरिजीत सिंह. ओके, एग्जाम्पल ही गलत दिया है. रोने वाले तो गाने गाता है वो. दिलजीत, है ना. सो व्हेन यू गो टू दिलजीत सिंह कॉन्सर्ट, इट बिल्ड्स अप विद ए मोमेंटम, है ना. शुरुआत में वो स्लो वाले गाने गाता है ना, एक कुड़ी जिदा नाम मोहब्बत टाइप. और लास्ट में व्हेन द कंसर्ट इज अबाउट टू फिनिश्ड, ही एंड्स इट ऑन ए क्रेसेंडो. पंजाबी आ गए हो और सम हाई बीट वाला गाना, and then the concert ends there, so that when you leave the venue you are left with a high, so that when you go home you remember nothing else but that high you got at the end of the concert. You forget everything, that you had a bad experience, some bouncer slapped you, somebody spilled his beer on you. You forget everything. What you remember is that high you get in the last song. So build a crescendo and end it there. उसको नीचे उतार के मत खत्म करो. Sometimes I see that some very good quote or some very poem was used in the end, which should S should have stopped there, but the student wrote just one line and ruined everything. That should not be the case. End it on a crescendo. End it on a high note. Don't leave it on a very vague point or a banal point or a ordinary point. अगर कुछ बहुत अच्छा लिख दिया है तो खत्म कर दो वहीं. And that will happen when you will think about your conclusion in the beginning itself, जिसकी हमने बात करी थी शुरुआत में ही, है ना. करी थी ना. Conclusion should come first, है ना. Summarize the argument and ensure that how you are going to end your essay should be there with you in the beginning of the essay itself. Because जब पता होगा कि यहाँ पे छोड़ना है तब उसको आगे नहीं लेके जाओगे. ठीक है. सो कंक्लूजन नीड्स टू एंड ऑन ए क्रेसेंडो. नाउ मूविंग ऑन. कोई डाउट? द ओपनिंग एक्ट. 3 Idiots देखिए तुमने किसी ने? अबे तुम कितने भोले लोग हैं, मतलब हाथ ही नहीं उठा रहे. 3 Idiots भी नहीं देखी. हम तो ये पूरे दिन पढ़ते रहते हैं. नाइस. हाउ डज द मूवी स्टार्ट? It starts with the sequence with Madhavan sitting in the plane and faking his chest pain, faking chest pain. That particular scene do not give you anything about the movie. It does not tell you what the story is about. But as soon as the movie develops, you will watch that movie because you are hooked with that first scene. क्रिस्टोफर नोलन्स की मूवी कौन कौन लोग देखते हैं? हाँ, सब इंटेलेक्चुअल बने घूम रहे हैं. और करण जौहर की? गुड. सो व्हेन यू वॉच क्रिस्टोफर नोलन्स मूवी, डार्क नाइट देखी होगी तुमने सबने? हाँ, बढ़िया. पढ़ लिया. खैर, जब डार्क नाइट का सीक्वेंस है तो उसमें रोबरी वाला सीक्वेंस है ना शुरुआत में. जोकर इज गेटिंग इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बिकॉज द center or the cynosure of Christopher Nolan's movie is not Batman, it is Joker. वो उसको इंट्रोड्यूस करा रहा है कि हाउ कनिंग ही इज, कि वो सबको मार रहा है ना, और उसके बाद सारा पैसा लेके चला जा रहा है और उसको जला दे रहा है. ही डज नॉट केयर अबाउट इट. दैट इज द सीक्वेंस ना. सिमिलरली इन द डार्क नाइट राइजेस देयर इज ए चोरी का सीक्वेंस, है ना. सो दीज आर सम एग्जांपल्स ऑफ हुकिंग योर ऑडियंस कि भाई something has been said or something interesting is going to happen, even if it is not going to happen. So be a director of your essay. Write the beginning so profound that the person is hooked, that the person is interested in your essay. And what are the ways to do that? Definition? Absolutely no. Don't write definition based essays, है ना. Happiness is not the end, but happiness is the path. And let's consider that essay. And you started something like happiness is this. Happiness can be defined as this. This will not fetch you marks. Because defining happiness is not something which is expected in an essay. बाद में कर लेंगे. Happiness किन लोगों के लिए क्या मतलब रखती है, पहले बताओ तो सही कि happiness से रिलेटेड तुम क्या बातें करने वाले हो, है ना. So how would you start that? Anybody from this side? Happiness is not the end but the path or the journey. Why would you write that? Tell me, what would you write? You understood the meaning? Now tell me, how would you start this? Again, you are defining the elements of the essay. I am saying don't define the elements, don't define things, don't define terms. अरे जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा का
सर
सीक्वेंस.
सर
करीना का क्या नाम है उसका, उसकी बीवी का, वो कैटरीना कैफ है ना, कि अरे मैं पहले पैसे कमा लूं फिर रिटायर हो जाऊंगा फिर एंजॉय करूंगा, मर गया तो शी आस्क्ड हिम ना, ऋतिक रोशन से पूछती ना कैटरीना कैफ, व्हाट इफ यू डाई? हाँ
sir, I think I will start with that. Happiness is when I am with my friends enjoying.
फर्स्ट पर्सन इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड.
अच्छा.
तुम रहो अपने दोस्तों के साथ खुश, है ना, बट फर्स्ट पर्सन इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. एंड हाउ इज दैट गिविंग द थीम? दिस इज वन क्लासिक एग्जांपल आल्सो ऑफ मिस इंटरप्रेटिंग द एसे. हैप्पीनेस इज नॉट द एंड बट द जर्नी, बट द पाथ. आई एम हैप्पी व्हेन आई एम विद माय फ्रेंड्स. दैट्स नॉट a very to the point intro. Let's consider for a moment that you can write the first person intro, which you can't write. Even then it is not making any sense. You can वो कौन सी किताब है बहुत फेमस सी, जिसमें वो एक लकड़हारा होता है, वो he goes to find that treasure in Egypt. Alchemist is one such example, that what I was looking outside was all along with me. Murakami, Kafka on the Shore, that sometimes we keep on chasing something in the end to realize that it was with us all along. Right? Any other example? Happiness is not the path. Huh? Okay, so what? Are you hitting the demand of the question? This is precisely what I'm talking about. Whatever you are saying might sound good, but is it relevant to the demand of the question? With the, tell me the line. देखो, ये राजनीति नहीं है आपकी शर्ट की जेब में, हमारी शर्ट की जेब में, है ना? तो मीम समझते नहीं हो लग रहे हैं, है ना? हैप्पीनेस सब जगह बिखरी घूम रही है, बस हमको जाके चुगना है टाइप्स बातें नहीं. What is the theme of this essay? How Socrates? No, not very interesting introduction. Again, where is your personality in this? Socrates died 2000 ago. Show me your personality, show me your thinking process. हाँ, अरे बुद्धा, गौतम बुद्धा. Have any of you read Hermann Hesse's Siddharth? What is the story of Siddharth? That we keep on running after things, thinking that this will give us happiness, this will give us happiness. In the end, to realize that it was an illusion, it was a mirage. So, अरे your journey as a aspirant, वही तो एक एग्जाम्पल है ना. तुम सोचो लबासना में जाके खुश होंगे, है ना? अभी पढ़ रहे हो 12-12 घंटे, है ना? सफर कर रहे हो, 4 बजे उठ के ठंडे पानी से नहा रहे हो सर्दियों में और गर्म पानी से नहा रहे हो गर्मियों में. तो थिंकिंग कि वहां जाके खुशी मिलेगी, नहीं मिली तो what if you don't find satisfaction in becoming an IAS or IPS or IFS? What if you wanted to be a writer or poet? What would you write? Write good essay for now. So understand the theme. The theme is that we have been. किसी ने मूवी देखी है वो उसकी मूवी है ना वो जिसमें वो सोचता है वो होता नहीं है बट अरे बड़ी फेमस मूवी फाइट क्लब. फाइट क्लब देखिए किसी अंग्रेजी वाली सोहेल खान वाली नहीं देखिए. what is the message of that movie? that we have been all brought up to think that we are going to be movie stars and own big houses and cars. And that is not going to happen. You are not going to be Shah Rukh Khan. You are going to be nothing. You'll just die. The world will not even remember you. And you give so much importance to trivial things. उसने ऐसा बोल दिया था, उसने ऐसा कह दिया था, या मैं I'll buy this car, I'll buy this house, I'll buy these clothes, and I'll get happy. So many great references are there, है ना? 4-5 तो हमने ही दे दिए, है ना? जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा, गौतम बुद्ध, भगवान बुद्ध एंड फाइट क्लब. हाँ, no, not very apt, not giving the message entirely. By reading your story, by reading your introduction, I should immediately get hooked as well as understand that you understood the demand. If you are writing about Angulimal in the essay regarding the happiness is the path, does not make any sense. That you can change. In 2019, there was an essay that if you have the will and the courage to change, you can change. In that, you can write that Angulimal story. ठीक है? हाँ. Yeah, yes, absolutely, you can utilize that. Parasite movie reference you can give. Parasite is a movie for those of you Philistines. It was an Oscar-winning movie. Watch it if you ever get time. That can be part in the body. That can be the part in the beginning itself. So, very good example as to what is happiness and why we should not chase after happiness. There is a very interesting anecdote जो अभी भी मेरे को याद आया. अभी एक किताब आई रटगर ब्रेगनन की, क्या नाम है, मोरल एम्बिशन. उसमें there is a story about a monk who left everything, and in 2001 or 2 his brain's MRI was done, and the part where happiness spikes takes place was completely lightened up when the MRI happened. He was at peace, at this stage of bliss. Whereas a person who ended slavery in Britain, or the person who fought for ending the slavery, when his brain's MRI was done and when his physical condition was seen, he was in utmost pain and he died in his 40s and I think 30s. But he was the most saddest person. Uska pura body had gone to the dogs. I mean, he was all the time in the pain because he was traveling on the horse to convince people, and he was fighting their wars and battles or the people or the African American people to end the slavery. But he was not happy. So, what is happiness? That can also be subjective. Who would you consider, or whose life would you consider worth living? A person who left everything and went to Himalayas to attain happiness, or the person who remained committed to the cause of ending slavery, but suffered everything from physical to mental abuses, but did not left his purpose. है ना? So, whose path would you take? And what is the end goal? And end goal is to achieve that state which the monk did, or that stage which that person in UK did. है ना? So that can be one example. है ना? पढ़ोगे तो आएगा समझ में. ये वाली किताब, मैं किताब का प्रमोशन बिल्कुल नहीं कर रहा हूँ बाय द वे, मुझे बिल्कुल 1 रुपया नहीं मिला है बताने का. ठीक है, अच्छी किताब है. एक और अच्छी किताब है ह्यूमन काइंड. रटगर ब्रेगनन की ही किताब है. The opening paragraph of the book shows you that how when Germany bombarded London and people had nothing to live for, their homes were destroyed, their properties were destroyed, they were the most happy. They had the signposts like, our hearts are open just like our homes because of the Germany. है ना? So things like that. They were happy most when they had nothing to lose. and they did not care about the incoming missiles or death. They were the most happy then, according to a survey. So these examples you can get from some books, from some stories you read in the newspaper, or there is one story about Ranjit Singh Disale some years back. He won the Best Teacher Award and won $1 million. He did not find happiness in that. He found happiness in teaching underprivileged children. So the end goal was not to win an award. He was happy teaching children and doing something good for them. Where do we get these examples from? These stories, these anecdotes from? From newspapers, from books we read. Okay? So start something like this, which showcases your understanding of the topic is up to the point, is correct, is not wrong, as well as there is something interesting you are going to write. ठीक है भाई साहब, क्लियर है? कोई डाउट? ठीक है, चलो. What are different ways to start an intro? Definition, a big no. अगर दिमाग में ख्याल भी आए डिफाइन करने का, slap yourself twice. Story, yes, you can give the stories. The Angulimal story in an essay regarding change, a person can change. The story of courage of a soldier who did not leave his post and died saving that. All these stories you can give. Second, narration or anecdote. Read it. What became of that man I used to see sitting at the end of your table? Someone asked the famous 18th century Paris hostess Geoffin. He was my husband, he's dead. This is a real life anecdote, something which happened. Or Gandhi was traveling in a train when he was thrown away on a station in South Africa. That is an anecdote. So difference between a story and anecdote is anecdote happens in real life. They have a basis. Stories are made up. They are fictional. So both the things are correct till the time they are relevant to the demand of the question. So the story I told you about the monk and the person who ended slavery, that anecdote, they are from the real life. Okay? Honesty is the best policy. XYZ was going for his job and he found a wallet. He returned it, and the person whose wallet was it wanted to test whether he can make someone CEO of his company or not, and he made him CEO. So honesty is the best, something like that. It's a made up story, it's a cooked up story. You can utilize all these things. Or a startling fact or statistics. I have no ears for music, of course. Something like this. If you can do that, there are more in the essay. There are more people alive today. There are more people alive today than has ever died. In the essay regarding the civilization and forest, if you can link that with the demand of the question. Or this book I read sometimes back opened with this fact. I believe there are this protons in the universe and the same number of electrons. So instantly your curiosity, you have awakened the curiosity of the examiner. This is also a very good way. Using mythological stories, yes. So examples from our holy books, our religious books, yes, you can utilize them. Pose a question. Do you think that can happen? Has it ever happened before? In the essay regarding again forest and civilization, do you think Indus Valley civilization died because of any war, or did it died because of desertification? The question remains. Something like that. You can pose a rhetorical question. Rhetorical questions are those devices which does not have any answer, but they invoke a curiosity. तुम्हें लगता है मैं पागल हूँ, something like that. तो वो पूछ नहीं रहा है कि मैं पागल हूँ, बस बता रहा है कि मेरे को पागल मत समझो. है ना. बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं हाँ लगता तो है, सवाल नहीं था, ठीक है, आंसर नहीं देना. सो रिटोरिकल क्वेश्चंस, mythological stories and curiosity. What is truth? Said jesting Pilate and would not stay for an answer. So question, and he left. The person left. So this is again an opening from one of the books I read sometimes back, है ना. So truth क्या है? ये question would he posed that question and left. Now to whom the question was posed left wondering, what is truth? What does it mean? So these kind of openings where you pose rhetorical questions, where you where you provide context, where you begin with a startling fact, an anecdote, and a story, are interesting ways to ensure कि the examiner or the person reading your essay do not feel bored and find something unique, because our stories are unique. We have something different to tell. Our anecdotes are different. So try to utilize these types of openings. Story, anecdotes, startling facts or statistics, mythology, pose a question, arise curiosity, or begin with a quote. If you go on the journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. Many quotes on this. There are many quotes on this, many stories on this, many anecdotes on this. Provide context to the essay topic. Not recommended in the intro itself, but in the next para of the introduction, whereby you have told your story. Now you come to the demand of the question. In this essay, we will do this. But first of all, we need to understand what is this, what happens if that does not happen, something like that. Some questions which are going to write or which are going to give shape to your essay in the subsequent paras. अभी समझ आ रहा है या हैवी हो गया, है ना. चलो, read this. The truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. How rarely the older literatures ever told it. Bits of the truth. Yes, every good book gives us bits of the truth. Would not be a good book if it did not, but the whole truth. Number of the great writers of the past, incredibly few have given us that. Homer of the Odyssey is one of those few. Now I know that the writer is going to talk about the truth in Odyssey of the Homer. But he built up something. Dung, 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 dung. Truth क्या होता है? Literature ने दिया नहीं दिया. How it has not been given by many writers. How Homer gave it. So he piqued the reader's curiosity. And this is one of the paras from Aldous Huxley's books and his essays. So see how interesting it is. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. है ना? And rarely literatures give that truth. Homer gave that truth. So he defied everything first and put Homer above the normal standards. Now it will be interesting to read what take does Huxley take on Homer going forward and how he would substantiate this. This is also one of the ways to start the essay and grabbing the attention of the examiner. Avoid baffle, जो तुम लोग GS के आंसर्स में और ऑप्शनल के आंसर्स में भी करते हो. What is baffle? Saying a lot of things and meaning nothing. As if you ask a leader, sir, how would you end the corruption? देखिए ऐसा है, करप्शन बहुत बुरी चीज है. जब तक करप्शन नहीं खत्म होगा एक देश का विकास नहीं हो सकता. करप्शन खत्म करने के लिए हमने बहुत सारे काम किए हैं और जल्द ही हम करप्शन खत्म कर देंगे. सवाल क्या था? हाउ वुड यू एंड द करप्शन? उसने करप्शन के बारे में बहुत बोल बच्चन किया, कहा कुछ नहीं. इट डज नॉट मीन एनीथिंग which you do in your answers. A lot of scholars have said a lot of things about Plato. All those things are not relevant, but some are relevant. You do these things in your optional answers. That is baffle. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that shows you lack substance, you lack knowledge, and you are just trying to fill the pages. This is not a due exam. Due में क्या होता है, नाप के नंबर मिलते हैं, यहाँ नहीं मिलेंगे. Read this para. The question has perplexed historians down through the years. The historical circumstances are complex and the arguments and counter arguments confusing. It is difficult to make up a judgment about the main issue. All that can be done is to weigh up the historical evidences and try to come up with a conclusion. What are the issues? What is the topic? What is the issue? Nothing is clear from this paragraph. This is waffle. Don't do that in your essay. और ऐसे में क्या जिंदगी में मत करना, है ना. देयर इज अ बुक बाय क्या नाम था उनका, मनमोहन सिंह जी के जो चीफ इकोनॉमिक, बसु, कौशिक बसु. He has written a book, My Days. No, that is संजय बारू. ये भी नहीं करना, मिसकोट नहीं करना किसी और की किताब किसी और के नाम पर. So he has written a book, My Days as a My Diary as a Civil Servant. He was the chief economic advisor. He has written that bureaucrats and politicians in India have mastered this art of saying a lot of words and meaning nothing at all. And this is also what is happening in these platforms, in these international forums, SCO and UN also. Terrorism is very bad. We need to uproot the terrorism. मैं पिछले जब से अखबार पढ़ रहा हूँ कई सालों से, आई एम रीडिंग दैट स्टेटमेंट एवरी ईयर. टेररिज्म इज ए मेनेस टू द ह्यूमैनिटी. हाँ, खत्म कैसे करोगे वो नहीं बताएंगे. क्यों? क्योंकि उससे किसी को दिक्कत हो सकती है, somebody get hurt, और हमको ही नहीं पता, आपको कैसे बताएं, right? There is also one more statement that on the buildings of the World Bank it is written, we want to end the poverty, but they do not tell how and when, right? So don't do waffle in your essays, don't do waffle in your answers of optional as well as GS, है ना? So a lot of scholars, when you write, the examiner instantly know कि इसको पता नहीं था किसने कहा है ना? When you write, a lot of things has been said, it means you are trying to fill up this space. Don't do that. Nobody likes it. फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाते हैं लोग. जिसे तुम कस्टमर केयर को फोन करो किसी के और कुछ प्रॉब्लम बताओ, सर हम क्षमा चाहते हैं आपके प्रॉब्लम के लिए, हम आपकी बात सुनने के लिए तत्पर है. अरे सॉल्यूशन बता, टेल मी द सॉल्यूशन. I don't want your apologies. I don't want your memorized lines regarding how you will help me till my problem is resolved. Tell me the solution. Refund कब दोगे? वो बताओ. वो नहीं बताते. क्यों? क्योंकि घुमाना है बात को ना. Exact बात नहीं बतानी. ठीक है? So don't do that. Avoid waffle. Read this para. Read this para. This is a very important issue. Hate this line. And there are many different approaches that can be taken in regard to it. Many experts have considered this matter, but no one has come up with any proven solutions. There are arguments for and against, and many people feel very strongly about it. What was the issue? What was the solution? What were you trying to do? There are arguments, there are counter arguments, as are there for anything and everything. किसी बात के बारे में बात लिख दो. And one thing which you write, increase awareness. ये आंसर राइटिंग की दुनिया का आलू है. मेंटल हेल्थ का इशू, इंक्रीज अवेयरनेस. वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट, इंक्रीज अवेयरनेस. एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ, इंक्रीज अवेयरनेस. कैसे? किसकी अवेयरनेस बढ़ा रहे हो? कहां बढ़ा रहे हो? कैसे बढ़ा रहे हो? कब तक बढ़ जाएगी? कोई तरीका सोचा है? सरकार कुछ कर रही है बढ़ाने के लिए? वो नहीं पता, बढ़ा देंगे. ऐसा इमीडिएट नहीं सोचे हैं. तो don't write these kind of points. This is waste of your time. This is the waste of assessor's time. And say something specific. Say something specific which makes sense, which showcases that you are not just blabbering, you have things to talk about, है ना? ऐसा ना लगे कि ये आज सब कुछ हवा में बातें होंगी, because वो मूड खराब कर देता है. मेरा तो कर देता है, पता नहीं यूपीएससी के एग्जामिनर्स का, जब इस तरह के सेंटेंस आते, दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट इशू विच हैज बीन ड्वेल्ड इनटू. अरे तो मुद्दे पे आ भाई, इशू क्या था वो बता. सो डोंट यूज दीज डिवाइसेस टू फिल द पेजेस. हैव समथिंग एग्जैक्ट. नाउ व्हाट शुड बी द लेंथ ऑफ द ओपनिंग पैराग्राफ? not 2 pages, not 3 pages, hardly 5 lines, 6 lines, 7 lines. I have seen a copy, I have seen a lot of copies where the student has started to write the introduction and went on till the 3rd page and the story has not finished. वो कहानी ही बताया जा रहा है ना, पूरी उसने बता डाला है. Lord Buddha went to jungle, there he saw a serpent and the serpent had a snake, something. मतलब कुछ भी चल रहा है. Don't give trivial details, unnecessary details. You are not writing a novel. You are not writing a novel. You are writing a short composition, because novel में होता है ना, साड़ी का पल्लू लाल था, सितारे थे. अरे ऐसा उपन्यास की जो विधा है उसमें चीजों को इलेबोरेट करना होता है. जब हवा चल रही थी तो साड़ी का पल्लू वैसे ही झूल रहा था जैसे जुल्फ, समथिंग लाइक दैट, है ना. वो नहीं करना है यहाँ. ऐसे है, नोवेल नहीं है. कीप इट शॉर्ट, सिंपल, एग्जैक्ट, प्रिसाइज, कंसाइज. ठीक है. मतलब एक कहानी जो कही जाती है और जब उसी कहानी को उपन्यास का फॉर्म दे दिया जाता है, दिस इज द चेंज विच कम्स. थिंग्स बिकम मोर इलेबोरेट because you have to paint a picture, because you have to keep the interest of the reader till the last page of the book. उसमें 200-300 पेज है, तो जब तक उसको इमेजिनेशन के लिए कुछ नहीं दोगे वो छोड़ के भाग जाएगा. बट शॉर्ट स्टोरी में हामिद का चिमटा, वो ईदगाह कहानी है ना, तो उसमें मुंशी प्रेमचंद हैज डन दिस ब्यूटिफुली. इन द small span of the space or the words, he has given all the details necessary. मेले में क्या हो रहा है, पकौड़ियाँ तली जा रही हैं, जलेबियाँ बन रही हैं, कैसे वो भिश्ती जो लेके आया था बच्चा उसका वो टूट गया, वो रो रहा है, और हामिद का चिमटा, और फिर वो घर लाके अपनी, हैव यू read it though, by the way, पढ़ी है तुम में से ना. So अपनी दादी को लाके देता है, and दादी gets all teary and happy. I used to hate हामिद. इतना समझदार थोड़ी ना होते हैं लोग बचपन में. एनीवेज, सो वो करना है, वो नहीं करना जो उन्होंने गबन में या गोदान में किया है, कि वो पगडंडी से जाता ना, गोबर नाम होता है, गोबर पगडंडी से जा रहा था, बराबर में झाड़ियां थी, झाड़ी के ऊपर फूल लगे थे, फूल के ऊपर मक्खी बैठी थी. वो नहीं करना है. कीप इट शॉर्ट, ब्रीफ, क्रिस्प एंड प्रिसाइज. ठीक है. नाउ कहां थे हम? हाँ, ओपनिंग 4 to 5 sentences. Start responding immediately to the topic and clarify how the essay will be organized. This is the thesis statement which you write after you have written the introduction. In this essay, for those of you who are well versed in the art of answer writing, and I presume none of you are, they can avoid this. In this essay, we will see what is this, what is that, how it has aroused the curiosity of thinkers in different space and time. What are the political, social, economical challenges associated with it? What are the solutions for this particular problem? You can give these thesis statement after you have sufficiently introduced your topic, so that it provides you a rope and it provides the examiner in the beginning itself कि भाई तुम करने क्या वाले हो, है ना, उसको कोई सरप्राइजेस ना मिले. और अगर कर सकते हो बिना ये बताए, बिना थीसिस स्टेटमेंट दिए, तो डू इट, वेल एंड गुड. बट ध्यान रखने वाली बात ये है यहां पर, मैनी ग्रेट राइटर्स हैव डन इट, सो इवन इफ यू डू इट, इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू कॉस्ट यू मार्क्स. तुम में से बहुत सारे लोग अभी यहां से ये मन बना के लेके चले जाएंगे कि थीसिस स्टेटमेंट तो जिनको नहीं आता वो लिखते हैं, है ना, मैं तो सीधा सीधा ऐसे लिख के आऊंगा. ऐसा नहीं है. A lot of writings from George Orwell, one of my favorite writers, have this element, or Huxley, or many great writers have done this. So अगर तुम thesis statement नहीं लिख रहे हो तो तुम महान राइटर नहीं हो. अगर तुम्हारा स्ट्रक्चर खराब हो गया है तो you can utilize this device because greats have done this. ठीक है जी. ये फिर से सुन लो बात, thesis statement लिखना is not going to downgrade your essay. तो ये बिल्कुल मत सोचना कि नहीं मैं तो आज ही मेरे अंदर आ गई है थरूर की आत्मा और नहीं लिखूंगा. लिख लेना, इट इज गुड. और अगर बिना ये लिखे लिख सकते हो कि मैं इसमें क्यों इतना स्पेस वेस्ट करूं, आई विल रादर सेव माय स्पेस एंड टाइम एंड आई कैन राइट अ गुड एसे एंड कीप द कोहेरेंस एंड फ्लो, गुड टू गो, यू कैन डू दैट ऑल्सो, कोई हार्म नहीं है उसमें। ठीक है जी। नाउ the most important advice, do not do too little or too much in the introduction itself. जैसे टू मच 3 पेज तक आपका इंट्रो ही चल रहा है, सारी बात उसी में बता दी कि पॉलिटिकल बहुत दिक्कतें आई हैं, सोशल भी बहुत दिक्कतें आई हैं, अब खत्म हो गया, कंटेंट ही खत्म हो गया, राय बचा ही नहीं कुछ, क्या लिखें आगे, क्योंकि सब तो वही सब बोल दिया, अब आगे लिख रहे हैं कुछ भी, राइटिंग द स्टोरी ऑफ एनिमल, है ना, तो वो नहीं करना। तुमने वो मूवी देखी है मजबूरियां और मेहरबानियां समथिंग, वो अनुराग कश्यप की, जिसमें अभिषेक बच्चन और कटरीना का पति है विकी कौशल है, वो देखी है मूवी किसी ने? वो ना लगता है कि फर्स्ट हाफ तक मूवी ठीक चल रही है, उसके बाद ना उसमें इतने सारे एलिमेंट घुस गए हैं कि जो पहले हाफ में ही उसने कवर कर लिए हैं, वो जबरदस्ती उसको बस एक्सटेंड कर रहा है ना, इसलिए दैट्स नॉट अ वेरी गुड मूव। सो इतनी सब इंफॉर्मेशन और डिटेल भी पहले ही पार्ट में इंट्रोडक्शन में नहीं दे देनी कि कुछ बचे ही ना आगे करने के लिए, और इतना बेकार भी नहीं लिख देना कि वो वैफल लगने लगे। समवेयर इन बिटवीन, कीप द इंटरेस्ट कि कुछ तो बताएंगे बढ़िया, तुम पढ़ते रहो, नंबर देके जाओगे तुम अच्छे, ऐसा कुछ। ठीक है। नाउ द बॉडी ऑफ द एसे, द फर्स्ट थिंग इज द पैराग्राफ यूनिटी, एंड दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल द कोहेरेंस and the flow. Coherence means the ideas fit together, and the flow means that the link up of the sentences is not giving the examiner the feeling of gaps being there. वहां पे gaps ना हो. It should be coherence, meaning the ideas should fit together. मतलब दांडी यात्रा करके नमक कानून का विरोध किया, जिससे लोगों को पता लग सके कि आम जन की जो चीजें हैं उन पर टैक्स नहीं लिया जाता। दिस मेक सेंस। गांधी जी ने दांडी यात्रा की, उनके बेटे का नाम राजमोहन गांधी था, तो क्या करें, गांधी जी ने दांडी यात्रा की लेकिन उनका बेटा राजमोहन गांधी उसमें शामिल नहीं हुआ था। मेकिंग सेंस, देयर आर नो गैप्स इन इट। दोनों बातों में अंतर है। एक वसीम बरेलवी साहब का शेर है कि कौन सी बात कब कहां कैसे कही जाती है, ये सलीका हो तो हर बात सुनी जाती। ऐसे तुम ही हो एक महफिल के सही आदमी, इन सबको किसी को नहीं पता। ठीक है, तो आइडिया शुड फिट टुगेदर। ऐसा ना लगे कि अभी ये बात कर रहे थे नासा के मिशंस के बारे में और अभी बात कर रहे हैं गोबर गैस प्लांट के बारे में, कुछ तो कोहेरेंस रहे। ठीक है, सो कोहेरेंस एंड फ्लो, लिंक द सेंटेंसेस टुगेदर, लिंक द पैराग्राफ्स टुगेदर। तुम करते हो ये काम। प्लेटो इज द फादर ऑफ फिलोसफी एंड एरिस्टोटल इज हिज डिसाइपल। मतलब पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफी का नाम ही एरिस्टोटल है क्या? नहीं ना, तो फिर क्यों लिख रहे हो ये बात? कैसे मैच हुई दोनों बातें? यू डू दैट ना इन योर आंसर्स। Machiavelli is considered as the first realist thinker. He was writing during Renaissance. Okay, he is considered as the first modern political thinker because he was writing during Renaissance, or he is considered first modern political thinker because he started something new. During the Renaissance period, Machiavelli lived in Italy and he gave a secular theory of state, which is the basis for him being called the first modern thinker, something like that. It is making sense. The things are same. बात सही है, बात वही है ना? तो कितना नमक, कितना मसाला डालना है और उन सबको एक ब्लेंड, मतलब एक डिश में कैसे रखना है जिससे स्वाद खराब ना हो, दैट इज कोहेरेंस, दैट इज फ्लो, है ना? तो आइडियाज में सेंटेंसेस का स्ट्रक्चर, सेंटेंसेस का फ्लो फ्रॉम वन सेंटेंस टू द नेक्स्ट सेंटेंस, एज वेल एज पैराग्राफ्स का फ्लो, बोथ थिंग्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट। तुम पैराग्राफ की इंक्वायरी करने तो आते हो, जब पूछने आते हो ना कि सर वो इंटरलिंकिंग कैसे करें, तुम पहले ढंग से लिख लो, पर सेंटेंसेस का भूल जाते हो, क्योंकि सेंटेंसेस से मिलके पैरा बना, पैरा एक एक पैरा जुड़ के ऐसे बना। तो अगर सेंटेंसेस में स्ट्रक्चर होगा, फ्लो होगा, कोहेरेंस होगा, तो पैराग्राफ नीट दिखेगा, एक प्रॉपर आइडिया दिखेगा उसमें। उसको अगले से कैसे लिंक करना है वो सीख लेंगे। पहले सेंटेंसेस तो ढंग के लिखना सीख जाओ। A lot of people have criticized Plato. Plato was a good person, but अरे क्या लिख रहे हो, कुछ तो सोच लो, है ना? तो ब्लैबर मत करो. Think about it, what you are going to write. What if you were reading that particular sentence? ठीक है. Same the example of Goa and red shirt. कल मैंने अमरूद खाया था तो मैं आज इलाहाबाद जाऊंगा. Making any sense? इलाहाबाद के अमरूद मुझे अच्छे लगते हैं. कल अमरूद खाने पर याद आया कि इलाहाबाद के अमरूद खाए जाए, इसलिए मैं इलाहाबाद गया. Making sense? कल मैंने अमरूद खाया था इसलिए मैं इलाहाबाद गया. Not making sense. इलाहाबाद जाना and अमरूद खाना does not have a causal relation. ठीक है. This is the meaning when we say flow maintain करना है, coherence maintain करना है. The ideas should stick together. They should make sense not individually but in a group. This is why this is how a para makes sense. And उसको अगले से कैसे लिंक करना? That is the next part. Now, the next part is continuity of the para or following the organization. That can be done in two ways. One is the signpost words. And for example, read this. Almost all dramatic tensions and moral conflict emerges from three basic sources: mating, marriage, and babies. Now I instantly know that the next three paragraphs will be dedicated to these three words. These are the signpost words. Okay? This is the one way. The second way is using these words. Science impinges upon ethics in at least 5 different ways. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, or finally. When I'm writing it impinges on 5 different ways, now I instantly know that the next 5 ideas will be regarding these 5 ways which I have given in my signpost words. Okay? Now, the problem with signpost word is sometimes you forget. In the 4 ways this can be done, firstly and secondly, then you forget कि वो thirdly and fourthly भी लिखना था. It ruins the essay. If you have started the signpost, take it to its logical conclusion. बीच में कहीं छोड़ के मत भाग जाओ. Is that clear? Second, when you are unpacking some keywords or terms, जैसे इसमें हम कर रहे थे, ensure that you are addressing each source or each word or each signpost, each key term. Mating and marriage कर दिया और बेबीज को भूल गए तो दिक्कत होगी, वो अधूरा लगेगा. ठीक है. Now, the second way is using the transition verbs. The first way is the repetitive transition. जैसे behind Huey were the people and the people wanted these things and with the people behind him. So पहले idea में हमने क्या बात किया? That there were people behind him, behind somebody who wanted these things. And since people wanted these things, now this became my repetitive transition. This became my connective transition, जिससे मैं अगला idea build करूंगा. In Africa, there is a lot of poverty. Poverty. And the reason for poverty are political. Since there are political reasons, there are also social reasons. Now I know I'm going to talk about political and social reasons. I can repeat the words, the ideas from the previous para to ensure that my next para or subsequent para is in a flow or in a coherence. Okay? Now, you can also use the question and answer transition. In India, there is a lot of poverty. But why it is there? Next para I instantly know is going to discuss the reasons of poverty. So if you leave the para with a question mark, then you need to answer the question in the next para. This is also one of the way to ensure that there is logical coherence and flow in your answer. तो पहला क्या था? Signpost words. Either you can give the key terms or use signposts such as firstly, secondly, thirdly, however, moreover, these kind of words, or you can have these transitions. The first one is repetitive transition. The second one is question and answer transition. Read this. Cavalier in 1271 or in 1291 with the capture of the last great stronghold Acre had regained all their possessions and all the great crusade ended in failure. But why? Now I instantly know that I'm going to discuss the reasons. What went wrong? There was a failure of morale clearly. Now I'm going to discuss. They ended in failure, but why? So what why is my transitory transition in the question and answer form. Now I know what went wrong. There was a failure of morale clearly. Now I know I'm going to discuss the reasons, the reason that is the failure of morality. So one is question and one is the question and answer both. ठीक है? क्लियर है? सब जा रहा है ना अभी तक? चलो, मतलब दिमाग में. One can be the summarizing transition. There are grave handicaps in Africa. A lot of children are suffering from malnutrition. However, Latin America has more resources in comparison to Africa, but still there are issues. Now I am summarizing this subsequent idea with the help of the previous idea, which is going to help me go into the next transition. In Africa, again malnutrition and everything is because of the resource crunch, let's say. However, in Latin America, the resources are there. Now I have made this summary of the African problems a transition point for the issues I am going to talk about Latin America. ये क्लियर हुआ? In India, the problems related to poverty and hunger are related to lesser per capita income. However, in USA, the per capita income is high, still they suffer from poverty and hunger. So I use the previous idea summary to transition into next idea. This is also one of the very nice ways to transition from one idea to next idea. The key here is discuss only one idea in one para. है ना? दाल चावल रोटी सलाद सैलेड सब अलग अलग चाहिए, नॉट ग्राइंडेड इन ए मिक्सर. एक ही में सब लिख दिया, वो नहीं करना. Poverty is caused because of the unemployment, also because agriculture is not performing that well, that is why also there is poverty. Education system needs to improve. अरे थांबा, एक पैरा एम्प्लॉयमेंट, एक पैरा एजुकेशन, एक पैरा तीसरा आइडिया. दिस विल नॉट ओनली मेक योर आंसर लुक ब्यूटिफुल and have a coherence, but also give you more content to write, and the space will be filled or will be utilized in a more justified way, in a more better way. क्लियर है? सो एक पैरा एक आइडिया और एक तरीके का ट्रांजिशन. अगर फर्स्टली सेकेंडली थर्डली फोर्थली यूज कर रहे हो तो फिर वही करो, साइन पोस्ट वही यूज करो, की टर्मिनोलॉजीज यूज की हैं तो फिर वही करो. इफ यू यूजिंग द ट्रांजिशंस, कीप देम देयर. देन बीच में अचानक से क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर के ट्रांजिशन में घुसा मत दो साइन पोस्ट को. सो दीज आर some types of transitions which you can use to take your ideas from one para to next para.
इकोनॉमिक या कुछ भी इन्वायरमेंट, तो उसके प्रो एंड कॉन्स सेमी में डिस्कस कर लें या फिर
अलग अलग. अगेन दैट विल बी, मतलब अगर प्रोज एंड कॉन्स एक ही जगह इकट्ठे कर दिए फिर तो व्हाट इज द पॉइंट? वो भात हो गया ना, मतलब खिंचा पिचा. स्टिकी राइस नहीं बनाने, खिले खिले राइस बासमती. भूख लगी. ऑल्सो क्या बता रहा था मैं? हाँ, ऑल्सो देर आर लॉजिकल ट्रांजिशंस. जैसे on one hand, some people say that poverty is the cause of the unemployment. On the other hand, some people say unemployment is the cause of poverty. So these are the logical transitions in which you used therefore, however, but, consequently, thus, so, even so, on the other hand, for instance, nonetheless, however, ergo. If you are fancy, who uses ergo? Fancy people, British people. These are the logical transitions which you can use. ये कहाँ use होंगे? When you are presenting different side of an argument. Some people say that happiness in itself happiness is not the end goal. It is the path you take and experiences you have. On the other hand, some people say, no, it is definitely a destination. Because when you die, you need to be happy. You need to be happy that you have lived a full life. You need to be happy that whatever you did in your life, it had a purpose. You made significant changes in people's life. If that is the case with you, then you are happy. On the other hand, some people say, then don't worry about anything. Don't save money. Don't invest in mutual funds. Don't worry about property. Chill करो, है ना? ऐसे लोग अक्सर कसोल में पाए जाते हैं. Here. So these are some of the transitions which you can use. To summarize, signpost and question answer form transition, repetitive transition where you use the previous sentence to go into the next idea, logical transitions, and using these words such as hence, even so, thereafter, thus, therefore, ergo, nonetheless, etc., etc. Now, discussing different dimensions. Every essay can be broken down into W family, what, why, where, how, when, and these dimensions, temporal dimensions, past, present, future, spatial dimension, local level, regional level, or national level, village level, society level, international level, and individual level. All the dimensions can be broken down, all the essays can be broken down into these political, social, economical, administrative, international, environmental, historical, scientific, security and legal dimensions too. So break down जब brainstorm कर रहे हो वहां पर, here only logical sequencing is needed. So for example, when you're writing an essay that how let's say 106th amendment is going to empower women. On one hand, women will be given more seat in the legislature and they'll be active part of politics, and they'll be able to make policies which are more just, fair and equitable for women. So ये बात हुई politics के level की. At the societal level, transition हुआ, ये हुआ at the political level. This is the first signpost. At the societal level, when more people will come into politics, it will lead to improvement in socio-economic indicators, because when women make policy, they care more about social indicators such as infant mortality, they care more about health, they care more about education, rather than the male politicians who focus more on achievements such as road, transport, building infrastructure, etc., etc. At the economics level, IMF report has said that when more women will be participating in the politics or law making or policy making, it will lead to increase of the GDP by X%. So everything can be broken down into temporal, spatial, individual, village, society, state, national, international, और अगर डायमेंशंस की बात करें, सब्जेक्ट्स की बात करें, तो पॉलिटिकल, सोशल, इकोनॉमिक, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव, इंटरनेशनल, एनवायरमेंटल, हिस्टोरिकल, साइंटिफिक, सिक्योरिटी एंड लीगल. Not only the problems but also the solution. Not only the problems but also the solution. So for example, when we talked about that forest precedes civilizations and deserts succeeds them, here you can talk about political solutions so that does not happen, or technological solutions, international efforts, national efforts, right? How that is leading to insecurity among people, security dimensions you can address, how that is leading to problems not only at the local level but international level, because of desertification, how migrations happen that leads to xenophobia, how that leads to the rise of people like Trump, immigration crisis. So it is just a matter of thinking, it's just a matter of linking. And जो तुम्हारा वो perpetual and perennial सवाल है ना, कि इसको कैसे इंटरलिंक करना है, ऐसे आई होप कि वो आज आंसर हो गया होगा. इंटरलिंकिंग नहीं हो पा रही साहब, ऐसे करनी है सोच के, है ना. सो थिंकिंग प्रोसीड्स इंटरलिंकिंग एंड सक्सीड बाय गुड आंसर, जैसे फॉरेस्ट एंड वो सिविलाइजेशन वाला. ठीक है. दिस इज द वे टू थिंक अबाउट द बॉडी पार्ट. एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं. द बेस्ट फॉर एन इंडिविजुअल इज नॉट नेसेसरली बेस्ट फॉर द सोसाइटी. What is best for an individual in politics? Amassing wealth, but that is not good for society. Doing corruption might be good for you because it will give you a lot of material power, but that is not good for society. In economy, concentration of wealth might be good for you, but not good for society. In the वो solution का आएगा ना. Regressive taxation might be good for individual but not for good for. बहुत far fetched हो गया. मतलब देखो, let me give you an example. प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना, what are the benefits of it? So the first benefit you cannot write कि it will increase the income of the farmers. वो पहला काम नहीं है, उसका प्राइमरी गोल नहीं है. जैसे तुम यूपीएससी की तैयारी क्यों कर रहे हो, इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता है, तो कि मैं रिटायर होके सरकारी घर में रहना चाहता हूँ. दैट कैन नॉट बी द प्राइमरी आंसर. मैं जनता की सेवा करना चाहता हूँ, समथिंग. दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग. और आई वांट हैव अ गुड करियर. रिटायरमेंट कांट बी द फर्स्ट पॉइंट विच यू राइट. सिमिलरली, बेस्ट फॉर इंडिविजुअल इज नॉट नेसेसरली बेस्ट फॉर द सोसाइटी. इन द एनवायरमेंटल टर्म्स, यू हैव मीट, बियर्स, बट दैट इज कॉस्टिंग द एनवायरमेंट. Similarly, at the level of technology, more gadgets might make your life comfortable. However, they are adding up to the carbon footprint. Bitcoins might be good for you because they're adding to your intangible wealth. But are they good for society? That is leading to a lot of crimes. That is leading to a lot of violation of a lot of laws, and that is leading to a lot of carbon footprint also again. So think कि politics में why something which is best for individual is not best for society. Is that the case always? Now take the counter side of it, because a lot of people say, or the egoistic philosophers say, that since society is made up of individuals, whatever would be the best for individual, in the end that would lead to holistically best for the society. Is that the case? Yes. If we think from this perspective, amassing of wealth is not actually good for a person. You think it is good. Doing corruption is not good for your soul, your peace, your mental peace. You think it is good because it is giving you money. So if everybody think of the best possible for himself or herself, it will make him moral in some cases. That can be good for society. Roles example. In the historical setting, in the social contract, when the people have been put behind the wheel of ignorance in the original position, everybody is thinking for the best possible outcome for themselves or their self. So, isn't that the case? And this is how you bring the counter side of the argument. So, abhi if you would have written the answer, you would have written, हाँ, we agree. Oh, corruption is not good. Technology is not good for the society if it is good for human being. But think, is it the case? Is it always the case? Does not, if everybody is moral in the society and every individual is ethical, every individual is have integrity, would not that make a good society? Can you think from that perspective? So this is what thinking, this is what a discursive essay is. कि भाई जरूरी नहीं है कि ये केस हो, एग्जामिनर से हर बार एग्री नहीं करना. ठीक है. नाउ ये सोच लेंगे ना, ऐसे इन टर्म्स में सोच लेंगे. I'll get it sent to you also. The closing paragraph. Avoid repeating exactly what you have written in your main body, just like an AI does. है ना, जो तुम AI से बना के आंसर चेक कराने के लिए लाते हो ना. Hence it can be said as held by this. तुम ऑलरेडी वो डिस्कस कर चुके हो, फिर से वही रिपीट कर रहे हो. वो नहीं करना. तुमने historical, political, economical, scientific, sociological dimensions you discussed in your essay. Now you're writing conclusion. Hence, it can be said, looking at political, socio-economic, technological dimensions, something is bad or something is good. What have you done? New or novel? You have just repeated what you have written before. So have rhetorics, like sophists. So when you're writing about, let's say, education, have a good quote or a poem where the mind is free, head is held high, looking at Rabindranath Tagore's poem, right? Or when you're writing about new women, which the question has been asked, write Subramanyam Bharati's poem. Her head held high, looking at everyone in the eye, assured of his innate integrity, born out of courage, something like that, and just leave it there. Right? Or you can utilize some quotes. So, for example, when we discussed about revenge, that when you go for revenge, dig two graves. A quote, something like Hamlet, William Shakespeare's Hamlet, that revenge drove the king not only mad, but made him die or killed him. Or something like looking for revenge is like pushing a stone up the mountain only to be crushed by it in the end. Or when you're writing about the importance of mothers, hence those who shake the cradle are the controls the world. When you're writing that essay, writing something like Janni Janam Bhumiste Swargati Pigarisasi, this is sloka from Ramayana, from Maharishi Valmiki's Ramayana. So these things come after a practice. They do not. If you go home today and be like कि अब तो सब आ गया है, आज तो मैं लिख डालूंगा एक ऐसा जो मेरे को दिलाएगा नोबेल प्राइज लिटरेचर का, तो नहीं मिलेगा. क्यों नहीं मिलेगा? क्योंकि उसलिए लिख भी नहीं रहे हो, यूपीएससी एग्जाम निकालने के लिए लिख रहे हो, तो इसलिए नहीं मिलेगा. उससे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि दिस कम्स आफ्टर अ लॉट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस. तुमने वो लोगों को देखा, शेफ को वो काटते हुए ठक 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 ठक. दैट डजंट कम इन वन डे. That comes after getting your fingers cut multiple times. That comes after a lot of practice. So this would require practice. When you'll use different transitions, कि आज ये वाला करके देखता हूँ, आज ये वाला intro डाल के देखता हूँ, and one fine morning you'll wake up and you'll realize that you're writing good essays. So this will come after a lot of practice, है ना? तो घर जाके ये मत बोलना कि पढ़ा तो सब दिया था आपने, लिख तो पाए नहीं हम अच्छे ऐसे, है ना? So final sentence, crescendo of Diljit Dosanjh, उड़ता पंजाब, something like that. Not एक कुड़ी जी दा नाम मोहब्बत. बिल्ड करना है और उसी पे छोड़ के आना, हाई पे, खुश हो जाए, उसको याद ही ना रहे कि आपने बॉडी में क्या गलत सलत लिखा था. The examiner gets happy with the conclusion itself. Finally, as I have argued, as I have shown, therefore, the bulk of the evidence that points out, however, as I have shown, based on this evidence, based on the above information, don't write these words. ये नहीं लिखने. क्यों? पहला तो फर्स्ट फॉर्म यूज हो रही है, I, me, my. That is not to be used. And second, if you write these things, therefore, as I have argued, you will be repeating slavishly what you have already given in the body. So have something unique. And three to four more things. You might be wondering, there are so many topics. Where would I get all the quotes from? There are so many topics where I'll get the poems from. That is not the case. If you divide last 20 years worth of question paper of UPSC essay, hardly 20 themes can be taken out of it. And अगर और hair splitting करे, that there'll be 25. Find out those themes. I think if the write-up was given to you in the very first classes, that must have been provided, there are hardly 20 or 25 themes. Have some good quotes, poems, anecdotes, stories prepared already. There are some writers, there are some literature, there are some poems, there are some stories which are like which can be used anywhere and everywhere. Even if you are writing an essay on wisdom finds truth, even if you are writing an essay regarding the courage, if you are writing an essay regarding perseverance, one poem, if you can do this by, I think that is from Robert Frost. Robert Frost, right? So that can be written everywhere. If you are writing on environment, the woods are lovely, dark and deep. That can be utilized, or that poem by John Donne, I think, regarding I love not men less, but nature more. That can be written anywhere, even in this essay, desertification and all this essay, because you cannot have exact pinpointing poem or literature or quote, but some theme can be identified. So if the question is regarding new women, and if you have some quote regarding women, you can utilize that. You can write in the essay regarding that education is not what you learn in school, but what you don't learn in schools. So if you have a quote on the lessons life teaches you, or how you keep on learning, or the life is all about a journey from being human to humane, you can write that here. That can be written here. However, it should not be so far away from the demand कि पूछा था women empowerment के ऊपर और आप लिखाओ इकोनॉमी बूस्ट करने के लिए, क्योंकि इकोनॉमी बूस्ट होगा तो women empowerment भी हो ही जाएगा, इतना दूर भी ना हो, है ना. So there must be logical nexus between the poem, the quote, the story, the anecdote you are writing, and the topic that is being asked. With this, we end the class. Thank you so much for joining. Wish you all the best. In English script, not in Devanagari script. You can write shlokas, you can write everything, but not in Hindi, in the Devanagari script, but in Roman script.